And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when I knew you got to get out of here. You cannot be the last one here. Anything is about to possibly happen to you. We're going to talk about what happened to me on my second day of being in Canada. And was I scared? Yeah, and a little nervous. So that's something that we need to talk about. And I'd like to know what you get out of the story, and if you've ever been in a situation, even remotely like that, or a story you'd like to share that you would want other people to know. You know, the more we share, the more we know. So let's dive into this campfire story. The van says it's 21 degrees in here, so that's why I'm wearing my hat. Sleeping bag slippery. So I don't have Fifi in the van. When I first got into Canada, I met up with someone that was going to van stock. And he was from Jersey. I'm originally from Jersey, so I was like, this is working out. That's fantastic. I couldn't find the people that I was supposed to caravan with. And I ran out of reception. Like my reception, my phone stopped working as soon as I got into Canada. It was crazy. So he said he was going, and he was a volunteer, so he had to be there earlier, which was great. You know, fine. I got somebody. I'm in a strange land. I don't really know where I'm going. My GPS stopped working. Like when I say my phone stopped working, like it was terrible. But I did have my handy dandy milepost book, which was great. And I also had backup directions from AAA. So I really tried to, when I say I'm into redundancy, that's what I mean. I really am. We're going around, up and down and around these mountains. And like, you know, like I can see like drop off cliffs of these mountains. And it just got like so bad that we got to a point where there was a break. And, you know, he had said, well, hey, this isn't going to get any better. So you might be better off going this way. And I said, you know what? You're absolutely right. This is not a bad idea. We're going to do that. So we camped at a rest stop. It was before Banff because it divided. We camped there. I was parked, and I don't have video of everything I'm going to tell you. But what I do have is coinciding photos to really explain, you know, to show what I'm talking about. At first I parked behind him, and then I was too close to the trash can. So I was like, this is way too close. I don't want to deal with that. So then I jump in front of him. And so that way, you know, we're going to part ways in the morning. He's going to go his way. I'm going to go my way. But again, our destination's the same. So when I get up in the morning, he is gone. And, you know, I'm getting up, I got to walk Fifi. I get up, you know, I have a little bit of trash, you know, let's get rid of some of our trash, you know, put that away. And, you know, there's people around, you know, people that had stayed overnight, people that just got there. There's people walking, and I see some particular person, we're going to call him Jonathan. I see this particular person named Jonathan. And I just figured he's someone in one of these vehicles, and he's stretching his legs. You know, people are doing, you know, this stretch. And, you know, you get out, you want to walk around, stretch your legs, walk your dog, anything you got to do. So I didn't plan on leaving right away. I'm just trying to like get myself together. Plus, this was like my first time like really being out on the road. So, you know, not much experience with that as far as the quickness, things like that. But, you know, I'm learning. You know, cars, again, they're coming and going. And I noticed this one particular person that I saw is still there. And then he walks up to me, and I said, oh, good morning. And then he asked me if, I forget where he said he was going, but I know it was the opposite way. And I said, oh, where's that? I said, is it this way or that way? And he said, oh, it's that way. So I said, I'm sorry, I'm not going that way. And I said, well, you weren't here last night. How'd you get here? He said, somebody dropped him off at this particular stop. And there's really nothing else around. It's just a highway. There's nothing there. I mean, there's nothing out there. I said, oh, I'm really sorry. I said, I'm not going that way. You know, he kind of walked off. I see him walking up to other cars, and I'm starting to feel really bad, right? Because there's this young kid, I don't know, he looked like he was in his 20s. Definitely not past his 20s, let's just say that. he walks back over because I was out with Fifi, and he walks back over and he says, you know, do you have, you know, can you spare something to drink? I said, well, oh, absolutely. I said, let me go in the van. I'll get you some stuff. So I got a little bag together, like a big bag of pretzels or something like that they weren't open. That, some water, some other snacks, like breakfast bars, things like that I threw in the bag. And then I hand him 2 bottles of water. And he goes, oh no, in his best French accent. I just want to put that out there. So this will come into play in a minute. But yeah, so he has a very thick accent, but you can still understand what he's saying. And so he said, you know, politely said, you know, oh no, thank you. 1 is enough. I don't need 2. And I thought, oh, well, that was really gracious of him to say that. He could have just been like, ah, but he didn't. He just said 1 water's enough. Oh, okay, great. And so, okay, well, you know, I'm glad I could help. He keeps kind of hanging around. Again, people are still coming and going. I'm kind of in the van doing my thing, but I'm keeping an eye out, right? Then it starts to get a little bit more, there's a little bit more of an involvement here. So he starts, as people come and go, and I'm still the constant there, right? He keeps kind of filtering back over to me. And so I'm trying to talk to him to understand, like, why is he out here in the middle of nowhere? And he just said he was trying to make it home. Where he came from, I'm not sure. He did thank me for everything before that I had given him, and he wanted to shake my hand. And I didn't want to do that. So I said, oh no, I don't shake hands. I go fist pump, you know. So I did do that. And I can tell you the reason why. 1, COVID kind of got me out of, like, you know, shaking everybody's hand. I think a lot of people are like that now. But he had a lot of lesions on his face around here. I'm not sure what that was. But considering that I don't even have access to total running water, you know, I just didn't want to, I didn't feel comfortable with the shaking of the hand thing. And as he's talking to me later, you know, then he asked for a hug. Can I get a hug? And I said, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable with that either. But I appreciate it. Thank you so much. That's very nice of you. He travels back later because you know, there's no facility at this rest stop. It's just places you just park, and there's a place to get rid of your trash. That's it. There's no bathroom. There's nothing else around. See that in the pictures that I have to give you a better understanding. So where my van is positioned, I am like at the end, the right-hand side. I'm at the end. So I'm at the end where the grass is. The reason why that's important is because all of the other vehicles, they're all over here, but my van opens up on the passenger side, and I'm on the grass side, right? So there's no one on that side, just grass. His phone is not charged, and, you know, he, you know, to make calls and stuff like that. I said, well, I have a battery pack here. I said, you know, you can charge your phone. So I put the battery pack outside of the van. It's the brick. It's my run hood brick. He's charging his phone. And so that's great. And then he starts asking me if he can try on my glasses. And I said, no, I don't think so. Now I'm starting to think, I'm not sure exactly what I'm dealing with. Okay. Most people won't ask you for, you know, they'll ask you, you know, they'll ask to shake your hand or something like that. Some, very few, would ask for a hug, right? But it's out there. It would happen. You know, that happens. I don't know anybody that's going to ask you to try on your glasses. So I found that to be very odd. So throughout this transition, you know, he's waiting to charge his phone. He asked me again for a hug. I'm sorry, I don't hug. While he's out on the ground, there's grass there, right? So in the thumbnail, that's what you see. You see him laying in the grass right outside my doors. And when I shut the door, I locked it. That's going to come into play here in a second. He knocks on the door, And I didn't get a chance. I think I was sitting down, and then I didn't get a chance to jump up yet. And then he starts pulling on the handle to open the door. Now, I could have been in here going to the bathroom. I could have been in here changing my clothes. That made me really weirded out. So the fact that he tried to just open up the door. Oh, he did want a tour of my van. I said, yeah, no, it's a wreck in there. I don't think that's a good idea. I also said my dog's in the van, so that's not going to be a good idea. So I was really polite, trying to deal with this the best way that I could, but also knowing that the situation's getting kind of weird. The things he's asking me for, as far as the second hug and wanting to try on my glasses. He had his own glasses, but his glasses were very odd. They were like, how you have swimming goggles? So imagine swimming goggles, right? They're round. They are, the round swimming goggles. Swimming goggles, I think they kind of the lenses maybe go out. These were straight up like round. But there were rectangular eyeglass lenses pushed inside of them. So, and it strapped around the back. So I just thought, okay, that's interesting. I guess you'll never lose him that way. And the fact that maybe his frame broke and he's just being creative. Again, I'm not judging. So, but as I'm starting to add, 2 + 2 + 2 + 2, I was like, okay, so I'm gathering the battery. He's done charging his phone. But in the interim, he's going back and forth, and he's asking other people if they're going a certain way. And I said, okay, well, just come back and get your phone. So this way you're all charged up if you get a ride. So he's not here the entire time. So, but he does come back and forth. And like I said, every time he comes back, it just seems to get weirder. He comes back again. And this is before he told me that his phone was charged. We're standing on the right-hand side, which that is the grass side. So that's important because it plays a big role as to where it got to the point where it was like, you got to get out of here, girl. You have got to go. You can't stay here. You cannot be the last one here. You got to get going. Here's what happened. He's talking to me. I'm outside with him. Now, mind you, anybody that's parked on this side, they cannot see what's going on this side of the van because everybody's parked over this way. So he's talking to me, and I don't know what he said, but I felt very isolated being on this side. And with his strange behavior and questions, I did start to get a little bit more uncomfortable, but I was also trying to help. So there's that balance for me. I want to be helpful. I am a sympathetic and empathetic person, but I also care about my safety as well. Who's to say, he wouldn't just clock me over the head and just take the van and just drive to where he needs to go? I have no idea. Another thing that I will say is that for me, it was really hard to be intimidated by someone with a French accent. So I think that did play a role. It definitely played a role. No, would you be intimidated by someone that has a French accent and that's talking to you that seems very polite? That's the thing. When he was saying things, he was very polite about it. Can I have a hug? Can I have a hug? Remember, 2 times. Can I try on your glasses? Can I come inside and look around? Can I see? With his accent, he was very polite. He was very thankful for what I gave him. He even said, oh, it looks like it's going to rain. And I said, oh, I got one more thing for you. I had brought a couple of quick, throw on plastic ponchos that were in the little bags that you can get. And so I said, listen, I can't help you out as far as getting you where you got to go, but here's a rain poncho because there's no shelter out there. So at least if he's going to be standing out there, the least I could do was to give him a rain poncho. So I did do that as well. And in my heart, tell myself what I did, I thought it has to be enough. There's nothing else I can do for this person. So I helped him charge his phone, and I gave him food, water, and a poncho in positive encouragement. The freaky part was when he's talking to me over here, and he was getting really comfortable with like laying down on the ground, and that's where I have to kind of like walk out. It got a little uncomfortable. So he's talking to me, and then as he's talking, I start kind of backing up, and I am backing up around the van. Picture this, I'm on the passenger side, and I'm backing up to get around the van, and then I start walking around to the driver's side where everybody else is here that I can see, right? I can see them, they can see me. That was important to me. I did not want to be isolated on this side where, you know, no one could see me. And so that's what I was uncomfortable with that. Here's where it gets weird. I mean, well, weirder. Then he says to me, this is how I kind of know he's in his right mind, yet I wasn't sure. You know, I was within special education. I worked within special education for, 11 plus years. So, I'm kind of familiar with, certain disabilities and mental disabilities and things like that. And I dealt with medical assistants within the school district, but I knew he had some kind of smarts about him when he made this comment. He said, oh, that's really smart of you to walk around the other side of the van so people could see you. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is when I knew you got to get out of here. You cannot be the last one here. Anything is about to possibly happen to you. That comment alone dwindled down to like 2 cars, well, it was like 3 cars, then 2 cars. Then they got down to be 1 car left. And I mean, I was hustling. So I started gathering my things, and I said, I was stressing at that point. I was like, you can't be here by yourself with this particular person that's just made a comment that says, that was really smart of you to walk around to the other side so other people could see you. I don't know how you would take that. It made me real uncomfortable. Yeah, that made me extremely uncomfortable. So yeah, I was working fast in here and everything was a hot mess, but I was like, I gotta go. I gotta get out of here. So, because I was trying to get like my mapping and things together, I'm going another direction that was off the beaten path of what everything said I was supposed to do. And I don't have GPS. So I was really trying to get my bearings and to kind of like slow-mo this for a minute so that I could build a comfort level, right? Because I was already stressed out from the mountains and the heights. But yeah, so it got down to me and one other car. And I was ready to rock and roll, ready to peel wheels and get out of there. And I said to him, I hope that you continue to receive kindness from others and that you make your way home. And I peeled out of there. So that is my story on what happened, that weirdness on my second day in Canada that I felt really uncomfortable about, but I didn't want to focus on that. I just more or less focused on the kindness that I personally did and thought that's the best that I could do, but be smart about it and, get out of there. Here's the thing. I have been known to pick up strangers and give them rides. So I promised my husband I would not pick up any hitchhikers. Yeah, I could do story times on that, Yeah, my mom, I was in the car with her a couple times when she picked up hitchhikers, and 2 of those situations were quite interesting. Yeah, one girl, her neck was sliced. That was a crazy situation. I think I was about maybe like 11 when that happened. But yeah, but that's a good thing as far as what my mom did. I mean, this girl obviously needed help. Then another time, yeah, a guy, he left his knife in the car. So yeah, I don't think you should pick up hitchhikers with your kids in the car. I know that much. And anytime I've ever picked someone up, there was no children in the car. It was just pretty much me and the dog. So yeah, but I did promise my husband I will not pick up hitchhikers, and I didn't. I tried to do my very best to do a kindness for someone that was in a worse position in me at that point in time, at that moment. So I feel like I did a good thing. I don't know, how would you have handled that? How would you have felt with basically what I'm telling you? Because that was the situation. That was the story. That is my story as far as being in Canada on my second day. But if I would have let that rule me, only being my second day and being afraid of that, you know, maybe I wouldn't have gone any further, but you can't let that stop you, that one situation. I didn't want to share that initially because I didn't want it to come off as though, you know, there's already all these bad things happening, you know, all these strange, and Canada's weird and strange, because that wasn't the case. Like I said, you know, we got that here in the States. So, and again, he was so polite with his French accent. I mean, he was very polite when he was asking me for hugs and wanting to see inside my van and wanting to try on my glasses. Him trying to open up the door, that freaked me out. You know, making that statement that, you know, yeah, it's good that you're walking around the van so other people can see you. That was the clincher for me. That was definitely the moment I knew, you got to go, girl. It's time to go. It's not going to end like that. Not today. Not today. Yeah, it's just a matter of just be safe out there and go with your gut. Watch your surroundings. You know, when your spidey senses are tingling, listen to them. Yeah, that's my story. So if you have a story that you would like to put out there, what I would like to do is I definitely, for more campfire stories, when I get out and about and I go to different meetups and I talk to people, I would like to know different situations that they've been in. Again, good or bad, but something that we can all learn from. You know, it could be from one of the best situations to one of the worst. I think we can learn from all of that. But I thank you for watching. And if you are not subscribed, then we would love to have you. And please give a like, because it does help the channel. I'm still a small growing channel, and it helps to get my videos out there because YouTube does not push my videos. So there's that. They don't push my videos. I don't know. What do I stink or something? What's happening? What's going on? Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Oh, hold up. There's more. Hi, this is Rain from Fantasy Adventure, and if this is your first time coming to the channel, just know that I am a solo traveler, part-time, that travels with Fifi, my trusty miniature poodle. We like to do part-time traveling. It is something that is near and dear to my heart. One, I like to keep a positive channel. There's enough negativity in the world that we just don't need to add any more to it. I am a strong believer in what you think about, you bring about, and a negative into a positive. And, you know, good, bad, or indifferent, I try to get some sort of learning experience from things. What you focus on, you will receive. So if I focus on negativity on the channel, or even in life, then that's what I'm going to receive. I spread a lot of positivity, and that's what I aim to do. But what I also want people to understand is that, yes, you can have things that happen. Oh, why do I call them campfire stories? I call them campfire stories because it's a carve out of what I normally do for van life. It's something that either is a little off of what I normally would do, or somehow it pertains to it. Maybe a reason why I've done something. Campfire stories will pertain to my van life experience, or even stories from other people, because to me it's all relevant, but just a little carve out. So this is going to be in the playlist of campfire stories. So this is campfire story number 3. Please like, definitely subscribe, and I would love a comment. I really would like to know what you think. If you thought I could have honestly done something different, I don't know. Going back, I don't know if I would have handled it any differently. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't want to put that out right away because it was already a nerve-wracking experience traveling through the Yukon and going into Alaska, it was just, I was just over it. And I didn't want to represent Canada in that kind of way to make it seem like they've got all these weird, crazy people and don't come here, because that's not true. We have our fair share in the United States, and you know it. But what I will say is, you know, I love the tribe that I have, and I'd like to add to that tribe.